Hi guys, now we're going to do Module 3, Lesson 13, and our learning target is that today we will solve multi-step addition, subtraction, and multiplication problems using the RDW process. So remember, the RDW process means read, draw, and write. So we're going to read the problem, draw a picture, and write a statement showing our answer. Okay, so the number one says over the summer, Katie earned $180 each week for 7 weeks. Of that money, she spent $375 on a new computer and $137 on new clothes. How much money did she have left? Oh my goodness, this problem is very confusing. But I know I'm going to take it step by step so that we can solve it. So the first piece of this problem states she earned, actually, you know what? Let's highlight this. Kate earned $180 each week for 7 weeks. Okay, so I can draw a tape diagram for this. I'm going to take my tape. Oops. I don't want the highlighter. Okay, I'm going to take my tape and section it off into 7 pieces because we know she's earning money for 7 weeks and it tells us how much money she's earning each week. Okay, now my pieces aren't quite even, but we want to try to make them as even as possible. Now, it doesn't matter if they're perfect, but we want to make sure that we know each box represents the same amount. So each one represents $180. Okay, so you can write your dollars inside the boxes if you want or outside of the boxes. Does not matter. Okay, so in order to find the amount that she earned, which is our total, we want to multiply 180 times 7. Okay, that's the easiest way to do it. Now you could sit here and do 180 added together 7 times, so that's going to take you quite a long time. Okay, now you can do 7 times 0, 0. 7 times 8, well, 7 times 8 is my favorite multiplication fact because it was the hardest one for me to learn and remember. But I know now that 7 times 8 is 56. So I'm going to carry my 5 in the hundreds place and my 6 down in the tens place because we're multiplying 7 times 8 tens, which gives us 560 really. Okay, and then we're going to do 7 times 1, which is 7, and we're going to add our 5, which gives us 12. So she's earned $1,260. Whoa, that's a lot of money. Oh my gosh. Okay. So then it says, let's do some more highlighting. Of that money, she spent $375 or on a new computer and $137 on new clothes. So when she's spending money, that means we're taking it away from the amount that she had, correct? So we have $1,260. Okay, and then she spent $375 and $137. Now we can approach this 2 different ways. We can add both of these amounts together and then subtract that from 1,260, or we can subtract each amount separately. Now, I think that adding is easier than subtracting. So I don't want to subtract, I want to subtract as little as I possibly have to subtract. So I'm going to add my 2 numbers together, then subtract the total amount that she spent from the total amount that she earned. So she spent a total of $512. Now I know she spent that because I'm using my green for the amount that she spent. It would be good if you labeled what she was doing with each piece. Especially if you only have one color to work with. A good color to work with for spending money would be red, because red always means, you're not always, but mostly sometimes means negative, or you're losing that money, right? And I'm always going to make sure I'm putting dollars here so I know that is what specifically we're talking about. So now I can subtract, and I know I'm going to have to regroup. Don't have to regroup in my tens place. I will have to regroup in my hundreds place. Now I can subtract. So 10 minus 2, that would give me 8. 5 minus 1 is 4. 12 minus 5 is 7, and then 0. So my answer, after she spent money on a new computer and new clothes, she had $748 left. Now that makes sense because it is less than the amount that she earned. So she earned a good amount of money, and the amount she has left is less than that, then you know you're doing it right. Okay. Another way you can show that you're doing it correctly is by estimating first before you subtract, or before you even solve. And that way you're working with easier numbers. Okay, so we read, we drew, and we need to write. Another thing that we could add to our diagram for our tape diagram is showing the amount that she spent. So let's see. Let's erase this total right here so we can compare it to the tape that we have drawn. Okay, so she spent she spent, let's do $375, and she spent $137. Okay, so we found this total, right, which was 512. And we wanted to find this amount, which is how much she would have left over. So our sentence that we're going to write is, Kate had $748 left over. Okay. Okay, let's do number 3. You're going to do number 2 and 4 on your assignment. Okay, 3 boxes weighing 128 pounds each and 1 box weighing 254 pounds were loaded onto the back of an empty truck. A crate of apples was then loaded onto the same truck. If the total weight loaded onto the truck was 2,000 pounds, how much did the crate of apples weigh? Now, this one is going to be much easier to draw our tape diagram for. So, we have 3 boxes weighing 128 pounds. So, let's draw that first. Okay. And then 1 box weighing 254 pounds. Now I'm going to change my color just so we can show that it's a different box. Okay. And then we had this crate of apples, which I'll make those red. Okay, we don't know what that is. And we want to know what the total or we do know what the total is, right? The total of the amount of weight put onto this truck was 2,000 pounds. So pounds is abbreviated as LBS because of the Latin word for pound is libra. So we are going to abbreviate pounds with LBS. Okay. So what you could do is we could add all four of these numbers up, or we could, like good math students who do easy math, multiply these three and then add our 254. So whatever way you want to solve it is fine with me. I'm going to multiply first and then add, because we've been practicing our multiplication. So 8 times 3 is 24. 3 times 2 is 6, plus our carried 2 is 8. And 3 times 1 is 3. So 384, and then we want to add our 254. That gives us 638 pounds. Okay, so this total right here is 638 pounds. Now, how are we going to find the amount of apples? What are we going to do in order to find that weight of the amount of apples? I hope you said subtract. So we're going to subtract the weight we already know, the known weight here, from 2,000 pounds. And we're going to have to do some regrouping. Okay, so we needed to borrow from here, but we had nothing, so we had to make it 10 by borrowing from here where there was nothing. And then we had to borrow from our thousands place to make this hundreds place a 10, and then borrowed from there, made this tens place a 10, and borrowed from there to make this ones place a 10. So 10 minus 8 is 2. 9 minus 3 is 6. 9 minus 6 is 3. And then bring down our 1. We have the apples. The crate of apples weighs 1,362 pounds. Okay, now when you're doing your problems, one, you need to read them very carefully. I would take them step by step because they're all going to be multi-step problems. Two, you need to make sure you draw a picture. A tape diagram would be best, but if you're having trouble figuring out your tape diagram, you can always just draw another picture. And three, you need to make sure you have a statement expressing your answer. If you have any questions, make sure you reach out to your teacher.